problem I chose is pollution produced by motorized vehicles. Since vehicles are used in everyday life and pretty much everyone needs one nowadays, which means there are an insane amount and each one produces quite a bit of pollutants, which is bad for our atmosphere. Other solution. So currently there's a thing called a catalytic converter. It's part of a car, and basically it consists of one filter here, which will break down the major pollutants and solids, converting an element into carbon monoxide and nitrate. And then the second layer will break those down and it will rearrange the bonds of carbon dioxide attached to a second oxygen, which makes it CO2 instead of monoxide, which is much worse. And then that is released instead of all the worse stuff. But the problem is it still releases a lot of CO2. So my solution is basically it's a little pipe that you would attach to the exhaust pipe, and it consists of a charcoal filter at the entrance, which charcoal is on the molecular scale, it is a very porous material, and it is amazing at absorbing stuff, which is why it's used in like all water filters, because it absorbs everything going through it. And you have one at the entrance, one at the exit. It will absorb the CO2 exiting, which means it doesn't get out and into the atmosphere. And the reason why it's better is because it eliminates the CO2. I wrote a research paper on it, which basically just gave more details about it, talking about how more about how the converter works and the iterations I did, because I was planning on just using like 2 sponges and a bunch of charcoal, but I couldn't find charcoal. So I had to buy some pre-made filters, cut them up, and rearrange them. Human geography relation is it addresses the environmental impact that pollution is and how it affects a person's health, because according to the World Health Organization, 91% of the world's population lives in an area that has unsafe levels of pollution, which is pretty much most of the world. Chemistry, I had to look at first I had to research how to build a product and all the background information for it. Then I also had to research the properties of charcoal, CO2, what attracts it, what repels it, what breaks it down, and what can contain it, instead of just letting it slide right through. Algebra, this one was kind of hard. I had to first figure out how much charcoal can absorb, which there's not really a definitive answer, along with how much is produced by a vehicle, which also depends on speed it's going at, what vehicle, what year. Basically, for this part, it's the filter can absorb up to, I think it was like 4 days straight of straight driving. So that's a lot, but not really if you look at it and how much a person drives. That's it.
Okay. I have a question. What part of the car does this